Welcome, my friends, to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm DC Gomez, and I'm thrilled you're joining me today for a fun conversation with a passionate author. We're kicking off the program, like it's our tradition, with a short reading from the feature book. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get started.
I'm Kimberlee Williams. I wrote the book, Dear White Woman, Please Come Home. Hand me your bias and I'll show you our connection. The Washington, D.C. area is what I call home, even though I live in the Pacific Northwest in the state of Washington. And really, the idea for the book came a long time ago, or what feels like a long time ago now, 5 years ago, on the East Coast, where I was in a workshop where Black women and white women were coming together to connect and to heal. And white women kept saying that they didn't know what Black women went through. And that just bothered me to my soul because I thought that it was all over the news and it was all over social media and it was in magazines and things like that. And I got angry and I went home and I said, you know what? I'm so angry. I'm going to write a book of letters directly to white women so they can never again say they didn't know. And here we are 5 years later with a book of letters written directly to white women. But I think the greatest surprise has been how much larger that audience is. It's people of color, it's women of color, it's Black women, it's men, it's people that are not on the gender binary. It's everybody. And that has been a pleasant surprise, I think, for the journey. All right. And I am going to share just a little bit with you. I'm actually going to share one of the first letters of the book that sets up really the premise of the story and leads us into the journey of the letters through the book. Here we go. It's your face on the milk carton. Dear white woman, I still remember the day you were taken away from us. I remember it like it was yesterday. When I think of it, I tear up and I long to see you, to hold you, to laugh with you, and to cry with you. I want to hear every detail of what happened that day. I'd like to know who it was that convinced you that we weren't family. Who took you? Who changed you? Who erased your memory of who I am in your life? Who taught you to see me the way you do? To speak to me in such strange ways? To look down on the way we lived? Who convinced you that we were competition instead of compassion? Separation instead of support? Foe instead of friend? Who filled your heart with these lies? I remember this day was just like any other. We arrived at school, we went to our classes, and we met up on the playground like we always did. You told me about the first half of your day, and I told you about mine. We played on different playground equipment, and you always defended me when kids made fun of me because I was just a little too chubby to use the monkey bars, the jungle gym, or the seesaw. My personal favorite was the swings, although it was difficult to get on considering I was the shortest in the class. And it eventually became yours too, because it was the one thing on the playground that we could do together. We went back to class for the second half of the day, and I waited for you in front of our bus stop like I always did. Mr. Brooks, the bus driver, yelled for me to get on, and I told him I was waiting for my sister. He yelled and yelled, threatening to leave us both, and I mustered up all the courage and screamed back, no, I'm waiting for my sister just like Mom taught us to do. Well, Mr. Brooks pulled off, and I waited. I waited for you. And I waited for you. And I waited for you. The principal and a few other teachers came out and noticed that I hadn't boarded the bus and was still there. She yelled at me too. Kim, now why on earth would you miss your bus? You know your mom works way too hard to have to come up here to pick you up like this. Did your sister leave without you? How could she even ask me something like that? You would have never gotten on the bus and not checked to make sure I was there, right? Right. You would have never left me. right? Mrs. Cunningham took me into her office to call mom. Mom was mad and she yelled at me about us missing the bus too. When she finally came up for air, I explained that I did what she always told me to do. I waited for you, but you never came. Mom and dad came up to the school and the police were there waiting with me. There were so many of them, so many officers, so many neighbors, so many questions, and crawling down my face, so many tears. I had no idea what was going on, but I knew it was bad. I knew it was wrong. I knew our lives would somehow be different from that moment on. You were gone, never to return or to be seen again. I had lost my sister, heartbroken, your sister.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Inside the Minds of Authors. I am so thrilled for this program. I hope you guys had chills with this reading because, hey, it was absolutely passionate and powerful. So we're going to get started. If you're new to the podcast, go ahead and subscribe. You don't want to miss any of these amazing authors. If you want to see the behind the scenes of what we do, go ahead, my dear friends, click on the link. Join the podcast junkies and help our Patreon communities. Help us to continue to bring amazing authors to your listening stations. So let's kick us off because you're here for this incredible author. Hello, Miss Kim. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Congratulations on that amazing reading.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I need to change the title, not just from author to spoken word artist, because I was like, woof. I wasn't prepared. I was like, oh God, nobody told me it was going to happen. What? Wow. Amazing delivery. Great.
Thank you.
I need to know. You gave us a little sneak peek of where this book came from. It's all letters. I want to know when you decided to put it together, because these letters are like, wow. How long did it take you?
Oh my goodness. From idea to delivery or production, it took 4.5 years.
It is powerful. Tell us a little bit about what can our listeners expect from this book? How does it all coming together?
Yeah, at first I just said to myself, I'm going to write these letters, right? That's all I said. And that's all I did was write these letters. But then I had this like huge stack of letters. I had no way to deliver them to the reader because it was just a stack of random. I just started writing and I didn't stop. I just started letter after letter after letter. And so my publisher and I, we were on Zoom and I was like, okay, wait a minute. The whole premise comes from the fact that as a Black woman, I was born into this sisterhood that I just love. I grew up part-time in the Black community, part-time in the Latina community. And everywhere I went, I felt like I had family, whether we were blood related or not. I always felt like there was someone looking out for me, that there was someone. And I always give the story. Most recently, a couple years ago, before the pandemic, I bought a winter coat because it was freezing. But then where was I going to wear this coat? Nowhere. So when the world finally opened up and I was able to wear this coat out, and my partner's like, Kim, this coat is so you. Like I look at this coat and it just says you. And it's different. It looks like a huge dress. And so I went into the grocery store one day and a Black woman said to me, sis, you're going to tell me where you got that coat from. I had never met this woman. She didn't know me. I didn't know her, but we stood there and we had this whole conversation in the grocery store about my coat. And so I figured, okay, if Black women and other women of color have this like sisterhood, and if I'm imagining that a white woman could be my sister, there's no way that she would walk away from our sisterhood on her own. She must have been stolen away from the family. And so then I set up the premise of her being kidnapped. And I take it all the way back to childhood because most people can remember being elementary school students and having easy friendships across difference. You know, like, yeah, we were all the best of friends until we got to middle school and then something happened. And so that's where the premise came from. Now I had a direction for the letters. And then I could rearrange the letters so that they made sense based on that premise. And so I like to tell people that the only part of the book, so this book is both fictional and non-fictional, given that the premise is false. My parents were both Black. They didn't raise any white children, but everything else in the book is true. And so there are 3 types of letters in the book, and we had to like organize them so the same type of letter wasn't coming up again and again, right back to back. And you have to know also that we had something like 80 letters when this began. We had to pull out so many to trim it down to what it is now with just 40. But there are 3 types of letters. One letter is a letter of mistaken identity. Like the family reopened a search for you. We're out looking for you. We thought we found you at the bank. And then you did or said this thing, and I knew it couldn't have been you. No matter how much I thought it was you, it couldn't have been you because you would have never said or done something like that to me. And so that's one type of letter. The second type of letter is, here's something you've missed while you've been away. A good example is my hair journey. My hair was chemically processed when I was younger. And so I share that, hey, you might not even recognize me today because my hair is no longer straightened. And then the third type of letter is just like getting to know the author. Some of the things in the letters are just like, hey, here's a chance, because I've always enjoyed when I read a book and felt like the author was my best friend. So there are letters where it's just an opportunity to get to know me a little bit better. And so that is the gift with a bow on it for the world.
You had me tearing up. I was like, oh my God, because it's such a beautiful way of presenting a really hard to deal topic. Let's be honest, especially nowadays. Like cultural awareness, we're talking about a lot of the times are like, problematic authors, you have all these discussions, but to truly bring it from a perspective of we should be sisters, we should be connected. What happened? So I love the way you spun it instead of trying to be very confrontational or make it sound like what is wrong with you. It's more what happened.
Right.
What response have you been getting from the readers? Because this is beautiful.
Lots of tears, lots of stories. So there's a signature workshop that goes along with the book, and I travel and I give the workshop all over the country. And every time I give that workshop, there is such a collective sense of grief about lost relationships and missed opportunities. And that question, like, yeah, we were best friends in elementary school. What happened? A lot of people reach out with gratitude. Thank you so much for writing this. I think those messages have increased and shifted a little bit since the audiobook was released in March. Some people that have listened to the audiobook read the hard copy and they say, oh my gosh, I thought the hard copy was impactful, but listening to you read the letters in your own voice has just been transformational. I'm giving it to my friends, I'm giving it to my neighbors. So a lot of it has been gratitude from white women. And like you mentioned, that the approach is so different. And I did that intentionally because it's my job to read all the DEI books that are out there in the world. And a lot of them like speak directly to my mind. Right here, like learn this, memorize this. Did you know this happened? But none of them really touched my heart and my heart connection, my heartstrings. And that's what I wanted to do with this. I wanted to speak directly to the heart of humanity. Like we belong together, but somehow along the way, we allowed circumstances and systems to separate us. And now we don't even look each other in the eye anymore. And so people have reached out with gratitude. And like I said, the largest surprise and gift to me has been communities of color reaching out and saying, I am so glad you wrote this. I got this book from my mom, my aunt. I just had somebody like a couple of weeks ago, we sent it to a grand aunt. So people of all ages, people of all genders and races are reading it and sending gratitude. It's just been a beautiful journey. I know what I felt reading it. I know how many times I've cried reading it, but seeing other people feel it and receive it is such a gift to me, such a gift.
You brought something up and I'm still going, oh my God, it's such an emotional topic, but it's also an emotional part because I think as a person of color, we forget that we're missing out too. Let's be honest. It's not, this is a two-sided strip. The moment that they're not connecting, I'm not connecting, I'm missing out in this friendship as much as they are.
Yes, 100%. 100%. I mean, I don't share in the book. There is a story about this young woman in the book, but I share more in detail, I would say, on the road if I'm visiting. And every time I talk about it, I am still grieving. And this separation happened nearly 20 years ago. And I still, if I talk about it, I will tear up because We were in a friendship where I considered her my best friend. For that relationship to dissolve, we were friends from seventh grade through the end of college. And for that relationship to dissolve, it's still to this day, if I think about it long enough, I can tear up. So I am missing out too. Yeah.
This is, I think, the beautiful thing about books is that it gives us a platform to talk. It gives us a platform to discuss in a safe environment because we can, to some extent, keep ourselves separate and
Yes.
yet
Yes.
connect when it's safe. So I
Yes.
love it.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the workshop that you're going on and teaching this. What
Mm.
made you decide to take that step?
So my passion is helping people connect across difference. So seeing that light bulb moment for people is like magical for me. It just feels so yummy for me. So when people would reach out and invite me to do author or book talks, and that's fine. I love reading. I love doing public readings, but taking that a step further, because at the end of each letter, there are discussion questions. So if you wanted to lead like a book club or something like that, you could with the book, or you just want to do your own personal reflection and journaling, you could do that with the book as well. But I wanted to go on the road and have this interactive, immersive experience with the book. And so there is a workshop that we take on the road that it's hard to deliver over Zoom, but in person, it's just so impactful. And it has the name of the book. It's called Dear White Woman, Please Come Home. And we go in and I talk a little bit about my history of being from Washington, D.C. I read a letter, we discuss that letter, what comes up for you when you hear it. I read another letter, we discuss again. I read a third letter, we discuss. And then the last thing that we do in that workshop is, and I wish actually I do, I can show you. The last thing that we do is that we invite workshop participants to write their own letter. And of course, it's in yellow and purple, like the book. Participants will write their own letter. Some participants have read the book already, some haven't. But after listening to me read letters, it sparks all these things all these memories come up for people. And they will sit, and there's a time for them to sit and write their own letter. And then they have the option of getting to the microphone and reading that letter to the audience. And when I tell you, most of the time there is not a dry eye in the room. The letters come from deep in this well somewhere of memories and pain and joy and laughter and heartache. And they share it with the audience. I'm telling you, at the end of the workshops, people have always said, "Can I write a second letter?" And I have to say, "I'm sorry, we're out of time." So people will read those letters. Everywhere we go, we create what's called a wall of golden letters. And they're filled with the letters of workshop participants that have written letters to their own. Some, like, white women are writing to black women are writing to white women, black men are writing to black women. I mean, participants have the opportunity to write, and even some people are writing specifically to one person from the past. I have binders and binders full, hundreds and hundreds of these letters, because I've been all over with the workshop, and I read every one of them, and it's just so powerful. It is so powerful.
For so long, we have created a culture that wants to be separated, that you have to be right or wrong. There has to be a pick side. But we have forgotten that the human experience is meant to be a tribal. We're meant to be connected.
Yes.
We're meant to be a unity of all of us. And the unity doesn't come with colors of binders or blinders that we created. So the fact that you have created a safe place, let's be honest, put it right there. It has to be a safe place, or else people are not going to share.
That's right. So, that's right.
You have a safe place for them to open up because you open up to them and be able to say, we're missing out. Let's be honest. It's not one side or the other. We're missing out.
Yes.
Miss Kim, tell me, because this is one of those journeys that everybody's not ready to take.
You're right.
What were you telling us for an author that has this passion, that has this feel and says, I have this message. How do I start? What would you tell them?
I would say the same way you put coffee. Coffee's on your subconscious schedule. Coffee is like a non-negotiable. I mean, I drink tea. I don't drink coffee. Just the same with the gym is a non-negotiable, or walking your dog is a non-negotiable. Put 15 minutes, just 15 minutes on the calendar every day. That's a non-negotiable that you sit to and whether you're writing with your pencil or you're on the computer, 15 minutes, put that do not disturb on your phone, or nobody can interrupt you for 15 minutes. And sometimes you sit there and you're like, nothing's coming. But once you start, I used to set a timer. The timer would go off. I'd be like, no, I need to finish this thought. So I just say reserve that time, that 15 minutes to sit with your thoughts and to just start writing. What really helped me too was to create a bigger picture before I started writing. So I knew that I wanted there to be letters. I knew that I had stories, but they weren't organized in my mind. So I wrote key phrases down for myself, which ended up being the names of the letters. I wrote key phrases down for myself and numbered them. And that's how I started writing the letters. So I needed to organize before I started writing, but some people can just dive in. So, and that 15 minutes a day was important to me.
I wish I was that person, but I need to be organized. I'm totally with you. It's like, yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
no, I need it. Like, where am I going with this? What am I,
Miss Kim, you have an amazing mission. This is absolutely a ministry that I love it. What else are you working on now?
Okay. So when I'm not traveling with the book or brought in to do workshops and speaking engagements, I am actually, and I kind of just turned a corner. And it's funny that we're talking today. I just turned a corner in this, I think yesterday or the day before, where it's funny that you're asking me this and I've already done this, but like, even for me, having already done this, I felt like people would say, like, what is your second book? What is your second book? And I thought when the first book came out that I already knew what the second book was, because we pulled so many letters out of this book. I thought, I was like, we're going to put those letters out there and we're going to call it the deleted letters. But so many people reached out to me and said, will you write Dear White Man, please come home? Will you write Dear White Kid, please come? I would say, oh, that sounds interesting, but it didn't resonate with me and my spirit like this one did. Like, I knew I was called to write this. I knew I had to. And so I wanted to feel that same feeling. And so there have been several women of color on the road who have said, I want you to write a book for us. Like, we've been in that thought process yesterday, and my touring tends to be busy from August to June. And so then my schedule will calm down over the summer and I'll have some time to set that 15-minute timer and to write. And it's a book written directly to Black women. It already feels beautiful to me, but I know that the world can't feel that beauty yet until it comes out. So I'm excited about that.
I love your process. I love the fact that you let things resonate and let your
Yes.
spirit be the one to guide you. Be like, that sounds like a good idea, but it's not quite for me. So,
Right. Like, I'm
own
not
it.
there.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it. Right. It wasn't casual that, when people say to me, well, you should create a series, Dear White Man, Dear White Child, Dear White Doctor, Dear White. And I say, okay, that sounds great. Right. It sounds gimmicky and strategic, but it doesn't resonate. I'm excited
It
that I feel
wasn't
like I
your
have
mission.
guidance. Exactly. This felt like a mission. It felt like a mission. It still feels like a
Well,
mission every day.
oh, while everything might be strategically, like you said, great for a series, you're still
Mm-hmm.
the author that has to create it. You're still giving a birth to the world. If this is not
Yes.
the baby that's supposed to come, it doesn't
Right.
matter what it sounds like. It's not the book.
Exactly. Yes. Yes, you get it.
So what most people forget. So when we're writing a book, it's a 3-part process. You have the art, you got the craft, then you got the business. Those
Yes.
books make sense for the business and even the craft. But if
Yes.
the art and the passion is not there, those other two don't matter. It's not going to make a difference. It's going to be like, it's going to be a chore instead of a passion. So I am so glad you
Yes.
listened to your soul.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
So, sweetie, I could talk to you all day, but let's get back to focus. Where
Yes.
can our listeners find you? When they can find more about the book? Tell us.
Yes, you can follow me on socials. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram as Kimberlee, and my first name is spelled very differently. It's Kimberlee. I'm Kimberlee Yolanda Williams on all of those. And then you can also subscribe to our website at engagingacrossdifference.com. So, yep, definitely follow me. Definitely reach out to me. I respond to all messages as long as they're not asking me to buy something. So...
I love it. Okay, Ms. Kim, before you leave us, are you ready for the lightning round?
I'm ready for the lightning round. Yes, I am ready.
Right. Super, super easy. Don't think too much about this. Let's go have some fun. Hot chocolate or apple cider?
Apple cider.
Nice. Breakfast or dinner?
Ooh, breakfast.
I could do breakfast at dinner, but that's just me.
Me too. Me too. Me too.
Superhero or scientist?
Ooh, superhero. Superhero.
All right. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Oh, that's a hard one. It's probably. Am I allowed to say neither? I know
You can
that.
say
I know
neither.
I'm good.
I know.
I know that's like so un-American of me.
We'll let it pass. Everything else is
Okay,
beautiful.
okay.
We're good.
Okay.
Here's a little different one. Let's see how you do
Okay.
with this one. If you could meet any famous person, dead or alive, who will you pick?
Ooh, any famous person? Oh, wow. Oh, I have to just pick one. Oh, wow. Wow. I'm okay. I can only pick one. Okay. See, do I go with professional or personal? Professional or personal? Professional. I have professional person and a personal person. Okay. Well, since we're like off the beaten path now, I'm going to tell you my personal, one of my largest celebrity crushes is Janelle Monáe. And if I could meet her, my whole decade would be made.
I love it.
That's my personal answer.
We're going to go with it. It's all about that passion. But
Yes.
It is such a pleasure to have you. Any closing remarks for us?
Oh, wow. I just love this format. And I've been interviewed a lot, but this is one of my favorite interviews. Hands down. It's just, you got me tearing up over here. So I'm just so thankful to be with you. And if there's somebody out there that's like thinking about writing and not sure about the journey, wow, listen, it's been so rewarding. Does it have bumps? Yes. Are there days that I don't want to get out of the bed? Yes. But it's also beautiful. It's all so beautiful. So get your message out there and give your gift to the world. You can do it.
Ooh, I love it. To our listeners, go ahead, follow the amazing Miss Kim. Check out the book, check out the workshop, check out the website. Make sure you're following along. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss an episode. You know we're here. And we're always better when we're growing together. So share this episode, like it, tell a friend. We're going to be back next week with another amazing author. Miss Kim, have an amazing day. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Bye, everyone.
you too. Bye-bye.